back to the show. Josh Lucas. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
What's new?
You were saying about Mary Herron,
She's coming up on the show, yeah.
I filmed, actually we filmed American Psycho here. And well, first of all, the first day we were driving to set, I was driving with the great Willem Dafoe. And honestly, it was one of my first movies of my life, and I was terrified. I mean, absolutely terrified. I mean, like, to the point of shaking. And I said to him, man, I'm so scared. He literally looks back at me, and this is, you know, Willem Dafoe from Platoon, won an Oscar and everything.
Jesus.
And he goes, oh my God, I am too. And I was like, really? And he said, no, if I'm not terrified, it means something's wrong. And so that day I walked in, I sat down, and it was a scene between Christian Bale and Dafoe. And I remember watching Christian Bale and thinking, this guy's awful.
Really?
Yeah, like thinking, this is like one of the worst performances. This movie's gonna be terrible. And then proceeded, of course, to be a part of what has now become a bit of a classic, but also work without realizing it, what he was doing was he was playing a character that was mesmerizingly complex and strange. And to sit opposite and watch him do it, I didn't realize how good he really was. But Mary directed that movie sometimes during some of the more sane scenes in the film with her 18-month-old baby in her lap. And it was kind of incredible to think, here we are shooting American Psycho, and this woman's got her baby in her lap.
That's got to be, I mean...
One of my favorite directors I've worked with, I have to say. She's
great
lovely.
storyteller, likes to be provocative, doesn't take film as just a job. Like, she actually likes to do cool things with that. What's interesting is that you were terrified of that film newly in your career. Willem Dafoe, Experience, was terrified walking in. He said, if you're not terrified, something's wrong. Just the idea that to be good at this job, a big part of your life, you have to live in fear.
Fear.
That's going to take its toll, isn't it?
Well, it's in risk-taking, too. It goes down to, I would say, to jump forward a little bit. Years later, I was doing A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, and there's a moment when I was working with Russell where it was kind of similar, where Russell was acting very crazy, is the truth of the matter, in the scene in a way that was hard to work opposite him, and I felt like it again felt similar to when I was watching Christian. The difference was I was 10 years later in my career, so I knew like his performance was going to be put together, and obviously he goes on to win the Oscar for that part. So the difference is that I had grown enough to know part of great acting is taking huge risks and actually being willing to be terrible on camera, and then the way it can be put together can be those perfect little subtle moments that are kind of in between the madness that you're doing. And obviously that's what both those guys knew at that point, and something that you grow into the further you get along.
Is that true for life as well?
I think so. I mean, I think it's all about risks. It's funny, I was just reading, you can Google this, there's a great article about you, at least I thought it was a great article, Toronto Life article, which is a big 7-page article about your essence of the way you approach life, and it's approaching it to live on the edge, to live as hard as you can, to live as full as you can, and to do that I think you have to risk always making mistakes, and you have to risk being able to look like a fool. And I would say the greatest times I've ever been a part of mesmerizing film experiences, acting experiences, has been when actors are out there on the edge and willing to look bad.
There's also a neat idea that too, that people feel, and I think I suppose people in the public eye, maybe to a degree I used to feel this way, that you just have to get it right all the time. Like you have to, if a TV show or a film doesn't succeed, like that's the problem. It's not. I mean, it's over the...
I no longer think that success is the equation. I really don't. I mean, I really more and more think it's the experience that you have when you're making the project.
I agree.
And that whatever happens during... Look, if people end up enjoying it, that's one thing. That actually does matter. But if it's successful, that's quite a different story. I mean, success is something that is... I mean, look, I have 10 films that are some of the best work I've ever done, which no one has ever seen. And I have a couple films that a lot of people did see, which aren't so good.
Do you, for lack of a better term, do you know you signed up to a movie that's going to be shit, it's just a money job? Or a career job early on?
You know, I haven't, I must say, I will admit that I haven't done that, or I have justified that I've thought I haven't done that, when I think if I was to be more honest with myself, that's probably maybe one of those things you change, but when you turn 40 years old, is that you can look back and say, if I was honest with myself, that is what I was doing, but I've gone into everything thinking, I'm truly passionate about this, we're gonna make something great here, and then, you know, the forces go against it, but I haven't yet worked for that reason.
But you've worked on stuff that I know you didn't like the political approach.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, totally, I have. And that was, like, you're talking one movie in particular, a movie called Stealth I did, which the director had told me he was gonna make an anti-war film, and he told the US military he was gonna make a recruiting tool. So he told, you know, the two major entities of this film that he was going to do, and, you know, who's going to win, me or the U.S. military at that point. So the politics of that movie ended up being very different from what I had anticipated, that's for sure.
Especially from your upbringing, right? You're a guy that saw protests, your old man chained in protests, like that's a big thing.
Yeah, my parents were, he's referring to the fact that my parents were hardcore anti-nuclear activists who believed that money should be going towards education as opposed towards building nuclear weapons.
So you have a kid coming.
I do.
Right? Well, congratulations. And you just got married as well. Congratulations there. You've had, because your parents were so interesting in the way they raised you, like we're talking about, you weren't sheltered. You saw a lot of stuff. Do you think about what kind of father you're going to be now?
I do, you know, I think about that question every day now. We speak about it, my wife and I speak about it consistently, which is, look, I'm not going to make life look like it's some rosy, wonderful ride, because the reality is it is highs and lows. Sure. It's tides, you know.
What was the experience like on the firm?
The firm, honestly, and it's funny, I haven't talked about this very openly, but it's been a very difficult experience. There was a dramatic creative difference between the main creator of the show and the actors that he hired, and so I think all of us have felt like it's been a long slog, to say the least, towards something that we don't believe it's what we would have loved to have been doing. You know, I think we felt like the show had creative possibilities that were sort of broken early on. And that's been an incredible, difficult undertaking, where you go to work every day on something that you try and get through as opposed to that you try and love, you know. And the job as an actor is such a rarefied and beautiful job, but the truth of the matter is oftentimes it's incredibly difficult because you pour your soul into something like we talked about early on. You risk putting yourself out there. And if you don't love something because you haven't been allowed to do what you want to do because of, you know, the forces that surround it, that can be an incredibly difficult journey. I think, you know, all of us as actors, we talk about that on this job in particular.
Really? Do you run the risk then of losing sight of what the moment on screen is supposed to be?
I think that's the hard thing, because when, you know, I think there are times on anyone's job. Look, I don't have an office job. I mean, that's the reality. You know, I'm also not in the military, so I'm completely aware when people are out doing, you know, day-to-day mundane jobs that are necessary for the world, or day-to-day jobs that are incredibly difficult and risky. And I think that as an actor, it's very hard to complain or say that what we do has any sort of real relevance to the world. So I think with the firm, we've all felt like the daily experience is probably much more like, for most people, is like going to a job. And that, you know, when your life has been trying to stay out of having a job, and then now you got a job. And so it's an interesting experience.
You're working with a couple of Canadians, a couple of friends of ours, Trish Helfer, and of course Shawn Mckenzie. What's it like working with Shawn Mckenzie?
He is the exact opposite of what I'm talking about. He is, and I mean that in the best sense of the word. That man is a treat. You know, he's a great force of joy every day. He brings such he's like, to me, the experience that we've had, which has been quite interesting for all of us, is that we have had a group of actors that really love each other and take care of each other. And Shawn has been kind of, at least for me, one of the best, because he brings great humor to the set, which is otherwise a sort of oftentimes quite trudging kind of day-to-day existence.
He does love to be there for others. When he found out that you were going to be on our show, this is what came in.
With so many U.S. film productions coming to shoot in Canada, we Canadian actors need to be more prepared than ever.
And with all the big roles going to American stars like Lou Diamond Phillips and Josh Lucas, I had to get over this crazy dream of mine of actually getting a speaking part.
Hi, I'm Shawn Mckenzie, head teacher at the Shawn Mckenzie Technical Institute of Face Acting.
Yeah.
Students, acting isn't about speaking or listening or about truth. It's about acting with your face. Whether you're cop number 2 or male passerby or nosy janitor, the only way an agent will ever recognize you and point you out is with strong face acting. Here we go. Ready. Teacher gets shot. Panic ensues. Husband bursts through the door, sees him dying on the floor. And then, ha-ha, it was a big prank for his 50th birthday. More face, more face, more face. Ready, teacher gets shot. Panic ensues.
It's awesome.
The wife bursts through the door, sees him dying on the floor. And then, it was a big prank for his 50th birthday. Good. Shake out your face. Shake out your face. Shake out your face.
What is the face acting part?
I love that he did that. That actually came from a particularly bad night on set where we were having to kind of do something like that, where the stakes were so ridiculous and over the top, and they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So Shawn said, I need to come up with a book where you just flip through and go to terrorist attack. That's the face. Let me show you. And so he was going to give that school, and we were all going to do lessons.
You're Flash. That was your character, right? Yeah. That movie, when that video game was made, was a $4 million budget, which was
huge at the
enormous
time.
at that time.
We had Mark Hamill, obviously Luke Skywalker. We had Ginger Lynn Allen, a huge porn star. I was one of the strangest casts I've ever been a part of.
Dude, porn stars and Luke Skywalker.
The life of an actor, man.
It's a crazy life, man. So you're not a video game player? That wasn't your thing?
I didn't know. I didn't play video games. I literally did it because it was working with Luke Skywalker.
Really?
I mean, that was it. Yeah.
Did you ask him any questions about Star Wars, or was that too tacky?
So he is the exact opposite of what you'd expect. That man wants to talk nothing but Star Wars.
Really?
He will walk up to you and say, "Hey, look at this. Do you think I should? Well, do you? I'll sign it for you." You're like,
is that a cry?
Thanks, Mark. I don't need your Star Wars doll.
Is that a cry for help?
No, I think he got a part of something magical, and he's ridden it, and not into the ground, but I think he's enjoyed the ride. That's for sure.
Yeah, why wouldn't you, right?
I think he's really happy with that experience. So.
Do you ever go surfing on the surfboard that you won at one of the Teen Choice Awards?
This is a great story.
I don't know the story. Do you actually have one? I was thinking you were going to say no.
The fact you come up with this stuff, I don't know how you do it. About 2 years after I won my Teen Choice People's Best Kiss is what it was.
Yeah, Sweet Home Alabama Kiss, right?
For many years was the only award I had ever won. True, I am an award-winning actor. Someone said, "What do you do with this with your surfboard?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And they said, "The surfboard you got from winning Teen Choice Best Kiss Award." I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And the reason why was because I was never told that I was nominated or that I had won, because it's a $50,000 gift package you get from winning that award, and someone I had worked with took it without me knowing.
Come on!
So yeah, I fired them that day. Yeah.
They were still working with you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pissed.
Yeah. No, I literally didn't know, and they had, amazing. So I'd never seen the surfboard. And
did you feel betrayed?
Well, I felt upset that I was an award-winning actor and I didn't know it. I mean, I would have been using that all over the place, man.
No kidding. Award-winning. Yoga pants, are you for or against them?
I admit I have a couple pair. I might be against them, however.
You wear yoga pants when you do yoga?
I do, unfortunately.
Do you walk to the yoga studio wearing them?
If I have a long coat on, yes, I might go that far.
I've never impregnated somebody, but if I did, I would already have a playlist in my head of the music I would play on her belly to the kid. So you're a few months...
Jess, my wife, is here, actually. She's going to be very upset that I'm about to say this, but we are doing something called Baby Plus, which she's going to freak out about. But Baby Plus is a little device that you put over the uterus that plays a heartbeat repetition sound to the baby. And they say, obviously, music is great, everything is great, but this heartbeat repetition sound, for some reason, a lot of research has been done that says that this, and it changes every week during the entire pregnancy, that it seems to have a huge impact on the child after it is born in terms of being calm, but also its learning skills. So we'll see if that's true. But I do play music, and in fact, we're putting together the playlist for the actual day of the birth, which will be what we listen to as we go through, which is hopefully like 2 hours.
How would one even construct that playlist?
I don't know, man. I mean, think about it. You have to have, obviously, highs and lows, right? Yeah. There's got to be some good energy music and hopefully some good classical music. I mean, there's got to be some punk rock in there. There's a bunch of things. And hopefully you reach a crescendo, and then it's all calm after that, right?
Have you compiled a list of kids' movies that you think are the best kids' movies that you can't wait to watch?
I have. Obviously, there's a number of them. In fact, the Pixar movies I just think are amazing, period. But The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book is one of the greatest ones ever.
There you go. So you can see, obviously, Josh, in The Firm on Global TV, and watch the film as well. I don't know how we have to organize a screening, I think, across the country so people can see it.
I do think the film is coming out in the States in late May, so hopefully there will be some screenings, or at least a playing here, both in Toronto and Vancouver at some point as well.
Probably organize that. It's called Hideaway. It's a great way to learn a little bit about yourself as well. Josh Lucas, everybody.